Okay, B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. We are moving right along. We are on page Yutet Amud Bet. The Gemara says, Ha'omdim B'Shura. The people that are in the inner, facing the mourners, coming back from the burial face to face, they are absolved, exempt from saying Shema. Tanu Rabbanan Shura haroe penimi petura. The people that are face to face with the mourners, obviously it's disrespectful to say Shema while you're giving condolences, right? The lesson we learn from this Gemara parenthetically is, do one thing right. That's what God wants from you. Put all your heart and soul in one thing and do it right. You don't need to do 50 things halfway. But the people that if there's so many people, there's 1,000 people, and you're in the last row, you don't even, in your wildest dreams, the mourners will not see you face to face, then you should say your Shema if you're going to lose it, if the time is passing. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says parenthetically, people that are only coming to give condolences are exempt from saying Shema. Machmat atzman chayavim, but if you're just a spectator, you just want to see what's going on, what's the commotion about, that's not excuse to miss Shema. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, hamotzi kalayim bebekdo poshin afilu b'shuk. It says very clearly that if you have to become naked. You have to take off your clothes. If you're in the middle of the street and then you find out that you have wool and linen, which is forbidden from the Torah to wear, you have to derobe yourself even in the middle of the street, middle of the marketplace. And you shouldn't be ashamed. Why? My taima. En chokhmah ve'en tevuna ve'en etzah keneged Hashem. You shouldn't think about your personal honor and look for excuses in front of God. Kol makom sheyesh chilul Hashem and cholkin kavod larav. If there's going to be a chilul Hashem involved, we don't worry about the honor of the rabbi. So it says, basically, push comes to shove, sometimes we have to totally even disgrace ourselves to get something sinful that we're wearing out of us, and we don't have to worry about personal honor. Gemara says this is wrong. Meitvei kavru et hamet vechazru velifnehem shte derachim echad teora vechad temea. Let's say they buried the person, and there's two ways to get. Basically, what's going on here is that they're accompanying the mourner from the cemetery to his home. Now let's say there's two ways to go. One way, there's tum'ah, there's like a small grave on the side of the street. And one place, there's totally pure. Ba beteora ba'im imo, bederech teora. Ba betum'ah ba'im imo betum'ah mipnei kevodo. If whatever way he goes, whether he takes the route that is pure, that doesn't have anybody dead in the middle of the street or buried in the side in the middle of the street that we're going to step over, we follow him. Even if he goes the way that does have tum'ah, because there's a burial there, somebody was buried in the street, we just don't abandon him, the mourner. We're there to give him support. Why? And even the Kohanim can do this, right? A Kohen should not become Tameh. Why? Why don't we say, Leima en chokhmah ve'en tevuna le'neged Hashem? Why don't you say, why do we allow the Kohanim to become Tameh out of the honor of the mourner? Why don't you say there's no wise guy in front of God? You follow the law, you follow the law. If it's, you have to take off all your clothes, that's tough luck to you. Gemara answers, Tigma Rab Abba, Bebet Hapras de Rabbanan. The thing is, this is only rabbinic tum'ah. We're not sure exactly where the grave is located on that street. So since it's only the Rabbanan took away their stringency. A Kohen could literally blow on the floor of a bet pras to make sure that there's no, do a preliminary investigation by blowing on the floor of the bet pras to see that there's no remnants of bones, and then he could start walking there. So the Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Ashi Mishmei Bet HaPras Teora. Actually, even if they went ahead and plowed the Bet HaPras, it's even rabbinically totally pure, and then Kohanim could live there, build a house there, and interact with there. Tashema. Amar Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok B'daglin Haynu al Gabe Aronot Metim Dikrot Malchei Israel. He said Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadok, which was a Kohen, he would actually jump from on top of one coffin to the other to go see the kings of Israel. Because what happened over there, the Mefarshim explains, is there was a traffic jam. There was a bunch of people being buried, coffins, and if they wouldn't jump over the coffins, they wouldn't have the chance to go see the Jewish king, which is a big mitzvah to compare and contrast the king of Melech HaMashiach that we should see soon, and not even Jewish kings. Any king, it's a mitzvah to go run and see him. If you have the zechut to be alive while there's Mashiach, you could see the difference of the honor of the Melech HaMashiach, which is much greater than the honor of the kings of nowadays. Amai. Why were they allowed to jump on top of the coffins, Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadok, which was a Kohen, and make himself tamei, to do something that seems to be a very minor mitzvah? Gemara answers, K'derava, Damarava, Dvar Torah, Ohel kol sheyesh bo chalal tefech, chotzes mipnei hatum'ah. Halachically, if you sit on top of a coffin or jump on top of a coffin, since the dead person, there's at least 3-4 inches, a fistful of empty space between the body of the deceased and the top, the lid of the coffin, that closes the tum'ah, that closes the spreading of spiritual impurity, and even a Kohen that touches it or sits on it will not become tameh. Verov aranot yesh b'hem chalel tefak. And actually the majority of coffins, the body of the deceased is not so fat and large. There's always going to be that 3-4 inch, one fistful of empty space between his body and the lid of the coffin. V'gazru al sheyesh bahem mishun she'em bahem. And the Chachamim, it's only rabbinic tumah. The Chachamim said, since there is a minority of coffins that the body of the deceased doesn't have that amount of room, so we're going to say everything is tameh for the Kohen. But that's only rabbinic tum'ah. Mishum kavod melachim lo gazru. It's such a wonderful thing to go see the prestige of worldly kings, so we can compare and contrast that to the Jewish and kings like Mashiach, that the Chachamim say this rabbinical ordinance is lifted. That's why it wasn't a problem. But we see something totally opposite to what we were saying right now. It's so important, the prestige of a person, that he shouldn't be abused and mistreated and dishonored, that it even takes away one of the negative commandments of the Torah. So why don't you say Ein Chochma ve'en Tevuna ve'en Etzah neged Hashem, that you can't, there's no excuses and no wise guy. If something's forbidden, it's forbidden. Cut and dry. Take off your clothes in the middle of the street if it has shatnez. But why? Gadol kavod beriyot. We see a lot of times because the honor of a human being, you're allowed to transgress. Tirgama Rav Bar Shuvah Kameder Rav Kahana Lav Totasur. He said no. The answer is you're only allowed to go against the negative commandment if that negative commandment is to not listen to the rabbis. Which means one of the 613 commandments is we have to respect the rabbinical authority. So therefore, the rabbinical authority say if somebody's going to be embarrassed, they don't need to listen to us, and they could go against the commandment of God that says to listen to us. They laughed at him. What are you saying? Not listening to the rabbis is only rabbinic, but that commandment to listen to the rabbis is from the Torah. And the Rambam actually says that really, for those people that think rabbinical laws are chas v'shalom a joke, no. God Himself, it's a deoraita. God wants us to listen to them. Amar Rav Kahana Gabra Rabba Amru Le Milta Lo Tachechalei. Rav Kahana says a great person said something, don't laugh at him. Kol mili de Rabbanan aschminu alav de lo tasur. Everything that the rabbis do, what gives them the authority to do it? So basically the rabbis always have the authority to make new rules because God says we have to listen to them in the pasuk, the lo tasur. Don't swerve away from their words, either right or left. But they themselves said, we don't want you to listen to us if somebody's going to get disgraced. Mishum kevodo sharu Rabbanan. They told God and the nation of Israel, we relinquish our rights in order for the honor of human beings. So Tashema, it says, Ve'italamta mehem. It's a mitzvah to return lost objects. Sometimes you're allowed to do what? Not look at it. Pa'amim she'ata mitalem mehem. Ve'pa'amim she'ata mitalem mehem. Sometimes you're allowed to overlook the lost object of your friend, and sometimes you're not allowed to. What's the case that you're allowed to? Haketzad im haya kohen vehu bebet hakvarot o shaya motze zaken o eno lefi kevodo. Let's say you're a kohen and you see your lost dog of your neighbor in the cemetery, or let's say you're the rabbi of the shul and you see your neighbor old McDavid or old McDaniel's goat gets lost, and it's not proper for you to pick up the goat and give it back. People are your honor is gonna be disgraced. Let's say you're an eye surgeon and you're gonna get $10,000 for doing an eye surgery. By the time you want to go and give back the dog, and the dog is gonna want to bark at you, is gonna waste $10,000 of your time. The dog is only worth $200. Halachically, you would be able to ask the person for the difference between the price, your lost wages, from the owner. The owner is not going to want to pay you $10,000. In all these cases, as usually there's an exception to every rule. Yes, we should always be enthusiastically eager to love every Jew as ourselves and return their lost objects. But sometimes there's an exception. Why do we say there's an exception? So why do we say that there's no excuses against God? And Allah is Allah. If you have to return an object, even if you're a rabbi and you're a kohen, go and do it. Gemara says, no, shani hatam dechtiv ve'talamta mehem. The Torah says sometimes there's a comma. It says sometimes you can overlook. So from that we learn that there's an exception to the rule. The Torah itself is saying that God doesn't necessitate you to return the lost object. Gemara says, "V'ligmur minei." So let's learn from here that what shekevodo haberiot dochei surim. That just like the old rabbi, that's going to be disgraceful for him to return some object. So also here, it's going to be disgraceful for you to take off your clothes in the middle of the marketplace. Gemara says, and therefore the honor of person should override the issur of wearing wool and linen together. Gemara answers, Isura mimona lo yalfina. No. Returning a lost object is a financial matter. We don't mix that in from, and it's more lenient. Financial matters is more lenient to get an exemption from God from. But a sin of going and wearing shatnez, that's a bigger sin. We can't learn one from another. It's apples and oranges. Tashema ula'achoto. It says that a kohen is allowed to make himself impure and bury his sister that's a virgin, that's not married to anybody else. So it says, Ma Talmud Lomar. Why does it have to teach us this? Because there's exception. There's another person that the Kohen also should become impure to. And who is that? Hare shaya holech lishkot et pisko velomol et beno veshama shemet lo met. Let's say somebody was on the way to his Brit Milah of his son, or going to bring the Passover offering, the Korban Pesach in Jerusalem, and he hears that one of his loved ones, his father or mother, for example, passed away, and now if you go and bury them, what's going to happen? You're going to become not eligible to attend the mitzvah of your giving Brit Milah to your son, or bringing the Passover offering. It says, Yachol Yachsor v'yitmeh. He says, I might think that you should go and become impure and not bring the Korban Pesach. Amarta, lo yitmeh. It says, no, you should not go attend the funeral of your loved one. Why? Mishum shekvar nitchayav la'akriv korban et beno shenitchayav b'kvorat met mitzad elu yesh b'hem karet. Actually, the mitzvah of giving Brit Milah to your son and bringing Korban Pesach, if you don't do that, you get Isur Karet, which is your soul gets cut off. So those are more important. Go ahead and do those, and then go bury your loved one. Yachol keshem she'enu metamed lahem kach enu metamed lemet mitzvah. I might think the same way I don't have to go back all the way, for example, to Tel Aviv. You're already at the footsteps of Jerusalem. Go ahead, bring your Korban Pesach and do the Brit Milah, then go back and bury your parents. You might think that if you find a dead carcass of a person, a dead body, that nobody is there to bury him, you also should not. That's called a met mitzvah. Met mitzvah is somebody that we don't know he just was like burglarized and murdered. So it says Talmud Lomar lachoto udenu metameh. Next DAF, aval metameh ulemet mitzvah. The Gemara says you're only not allowed to become tameh for your loved ones, but a met mitzvah, somebody that with nobody, if you don't do it, bury the person, nobody else is going to bury him, you do go ahead and make yourself impure.